So I think I have, this is a good little shape for a bee. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make his little wings. I'm just going to make a ball and then kind of make them into little teardrop shapes here. You guys see that? Nope, I think it needs to be bigger. I'll just take this whole blob here. Okay. Yeah, that looks better to me. See that? That looks better. Okay. And foolishly, I did not measure that clay beforehand to make sure I could get both of the wings uniform, which was very silly of me. But, you know, I'm pretty sure I can duplicate it. There we go. And we have our two little bumblebee wings. Now, to attach these, I'm going to do what's called slipping and scoring. So I'm just going to take, in this case, I'm just going to use my needle tool. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use this. This is my little scoring tool. You see how it looks kind of like a little wire brush. So we'll use that and get our jar of, good Lord, our jar of slip here. By the way, these gelato jars that you can get, little containers for gelato. They have a screw on top, and so they make great containers for catching slip, which, if you don't know, slip is basically just wet clay. It's like super wet. So you see, this is basically just mud, right? But it is super useful when you want to stick stuff together. So what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to take my little bumblebee body. I don't know why I said it like that. It's fun though. And I'm just scoring on the side of the body where I'm going to end up putting my wing. So if you're really being precise and accurate, you should call this score and slip. But for some reason, it just rolls off the tongue better if you say slip and score. I think, anyway. But essentially what you're just doing is, it's kind of the same principle as Velcro. You want to make a nice rough surface for the clay to hang on to. And so if you rough up their surfaces, then they'll stick together better. It's the basic principle there. It's not super complicated. So now I'm just scoring the side of the wing also, like so. And then ordinarily I would do this with like a brush or something, but These things are so teeny. I'm just going to use my finger. I'm not afraid. My fingers muddy. I'm a potter. I get my fingers muddy. So here we go. And I'm going to be kind of generous with putting the slip on here as well. Because that's like your glue. Like you really want to get it on there good. And some of it may ooze out a little bit from the sides. That's okay. You can clean it up. Basically, you can use whatever you got and just kind of go around cleaning up the excess slip there. But the good news is all this is going to get painted and underglazed, and most people are not going to notice a little bit of extra slip underneath the bumblebee's wing. So, but, you know, you want it to look nice, you want it to look finished. So I got my dog barking. She's being silly. They are very perturbed that right now Chuck is not home. He is out riding his bike, and I am doing this instead of paying attention to them. Okay. Okay. Now I want to really get the placement of the wings right. So that it looks like a bumblebee. Right now those look kind of more like mouse ears than wings to me. I don't know. Okay. Let's see. How does that look? Alright. So now we've got our wings stuck to our bumblebee. The next thing I want to do is give him some little bitty eyeballs. Here, I want to make him a little more 3D. So this, I'm not going to bother slipping and scoring. I'm just going to take a little nugget of clay and just roll it up and smooch it on there. There you go. Now he's getting a little bit of personality. So now we have to score the bottom of the bee. And then we're going to do the same thing to the lid. And this is always a little bit of a nerve-wracking portion of the process, because it involves messing up the piece. Yeah, this is the part where if you make a stray mark, it's going to show up. And I've got my lid all nice and smooth and rounded the way I want it and all that stuff. And now I'm about to rough it up. But that is the process. So we're going to do it. Sometimes making the noises actually helps. This video is going to be way too long, isn't it? Now, I really want to make sure that I've got lots of slip in here so I can really glue these pieces together, because the last thing I want is to go through all this work and then the thing comes out of the kiln and the bumblebee just pops right off the top. That would suck. So we're just really gonna get the slip up under there. Pick up the lid. I'm gonna just go in with the flat part of my little knife tool here, and I'm just kind of evening out some of those blobby areas. Right now it looks a right mess, but it's gonna be fine because this is all, the slip and the clay body are all the same type of clay, so when they're dry they're all gonna be the same color. And then we're gonna underglaze over it anyway, so it's gonna be fine. It's all gonna be fine. Am I telling you this or myself? Yes. The answer is yes. So, there we have. So, yeah, it doesn't look that much like a bee, but we'll paint it. We'll paint the colors onto it and it'll be fine. It'll communicate that it's a bee. Once he's got a big old stripe down the middle and he's yellow and black and stuff, you'll know that's a bee. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just putting in some little details here on the wings. Nothing fancy, just kind of carving it in a little bit just to give it just a little bit of definition. Whoop! There we are. Okay, so that's the lid. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover him up with plastic so that he doesn't dry out at a much faster rate. Sorry for the crinkly noises, but this will have a tendency to dry out at a much quicker rate than the jar will. And we don't want that because we want the lid to still fit. So I'm just wrapping it up in plastic.
2 hours later, or something like that. So you see what I'm doing here is a very similar process. I'm just trimming the foot of the bottom of the jar. So I start off with that pear tool, and you can see there I don't have lugs on the bottom because I like the way the rim is right now. So I just used the water trick to stick the jug to the bottom of the bat. But right now what I'm just trying to do is shape up the bottom of the jar and give it a nice foot to sit on. And I've got my little diamond core tool on the top, and that helps me sort of keep the piece in place. And now I'm trimming the middle of the foot, which is always, for me, it's always the trickiest part. I always seem to end up with like a little bit of a dome, or dare I say a nipple in the middle of the foot on the bottom. So I end up kind of fiddling with that quite a lot, trying to smooth it out, get it nice and flat. You can see I just kind of use a variety of tools there, trying to make sure that I get that done properly. And now we're back to shaping the sides. And here you can see where I learned, nope, you actually do need to use lugs for this piece if you want it to stay put while you're shaping the sides. So I finally give up here. I recenter with my little 2 fingers tool, 2 fingers trick, and then I am sticking the lugs in place to really, really keep this piece stable. So now back to shaping. And you can kind of see how the top is a little wibbly up there. So I'm really trying to get that nice and flat, and then get the sides, that nice belly shape that I'm looking for out of this. So just doing a little more shaping up. Use a variety of tools, just kind of whatever feels right. And there's my sponge, trying to smooth out the sides a little bit here. And some more flattening of the bottom. And here I'm removing the lugs very carefully with my knife tool and smoothing out the bottom there because I really like that rim. And here we go. We're going to try the lid out. Let's see how it goes. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. So now we're going to put that piece in between them and let them dry.